Welcome to Grown Folk Talking. Express yourself. The podcast will begin momentarily.
Please announce yourself.
Go, 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 and on the count of three. Go, 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 and on the count of three. Go, 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 go. And on the count of three, everybody run back to your fantasy. Now, he was up back. I was the type at the club was grab. Fantasize when I had her in the bathroom sweating with her. The body of a dancer. We had chemistry because she was a cancer. Not forever it would last, but forever move faster. So I had some. Still, I got the pause when I think about her in them drawers. And ooh, baby, she liked it raw. And like rain when she came, it poured. And like a car that I can't afford. You'll want it, they want some more. The persistence our brains explored. Let me know she wants to cure. Back for more. I wanna go, 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 go. And on the count of three, go, 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 go. And on the count of three, go, 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 go. On the count of three, everybody run back to your fantasy. Now, go, 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 go. And on the count of three, go, 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 go. And on the count of three, go, 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 go. And on the count of three, everybody run back to your fantasy. Now, treat me like the daughter of a pastor. Said I was straight for her to master. Little red Corvette, now she was faster. Wet dreams, lament, cream, the batter. We make love in their laughter. And any way I wanted, I could have her. Said it was some girl that did attract her. A new chapter, she was after. So I said, let's to a place that you want to be. Get what you want from her and me. Free love, I want to see. Hot sex in the third degree. You're getting served while serving me. Dirty words encourage me to rock steady, yes, sir. The lead on you turning me. No turning back. The further we go, 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 go. And on the count of three,
What
go,
you do?
go, 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 go. And on the count of three,
What you do?
go, go,
You did
go,
something.
go, go.
I know you did something to
On
me.
the count of three, everybody run back to your fantasy. Man. Go, 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 go. And on the count of three, go,
Stop.
go, 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 go. And on the count of three, go, 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 go. And on the count of three, everybody run back to your fantasy. Now,
Once again, everybody, Friday it's Cool and Talk. Your host, Marcus, FloFokuz, Xtra-Hype Connection team in the building with you on a Friday. You know what we mean. We got a slice of something nice coming out for you tonight. Stick around. But right now, get ready to go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You already know. Let's go. That's right, Xtra-Hype. Got you loud and clear, Xtra-Hype. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Gonna keep it pushing for a couple of more for you right here. Stick around. Got something good for you to hear. Beginning, middle, and final.
yeah, I know. I go by the name of Lupe Fiasco, representing that first 15 years. And this one right here, I dedicate this one right here to all my homies out there grinding. You know what I'm saying? Legally and illegally. You know what I'm talking about? So, check it out. First got it when he was 6, didn't know when he stretched. Matter of fact, first time he got on it, slipped, landed on his hip and busted his lip. For a week he had to talk with a list like this. Now we can end the story right here, but Shorty didn't quit. It was something in the air. Yeah, he said it was something so appealing. He couldn't fight the feeling, something about it. He knew he couldn't doubt it, he couldn't understand it. Branded since the first kick flip, he landed. Labeled a misfit, abandoned. His neighbors couldn't stand it, so he was banished to the park. Started in the morning, one stopped after dark. Yeah, when they said it's getting late in here, so I'm sorry, young man, there's no skating here. So kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, kick, push, coast. And the way he rolled, just a rebel to the world with no place to go. So we kick, push, kick, push, coast. So come and skate with me, just a rebel, looking for a place to be. So let's kick, and push, and coast. My man got a little older, became a better roller. Yeah, no helmet, hell bent on killing himself, is what his mama said. But he was feeling himself, got a little more swagger in his style. Met his girlfriend, she was clapping in the crowd. Love is what was happening to him now. He said I would marry you, but I'm engaged to these aerials and burials, and I don't think this boy is strong enough to carry two. She said, "Now I weigh 120 pounds. Now let me make one thing clear. I don't need to ride yours. I got mine right here." So she took him to a spot he didn't know about. Some odd in the apartment parking lot. She said, "I don't normally take dates in here." Security came and said, "I'm sorry, there's no skating here." So they kick, push, coast. And the way they roll, just lovers in the crowd with no place to go. And so they kick, push, coast. So come and skate with me, just a rebel, looking for a place to be. So let's kick, and push, and coast. Yeah, swing it. Yeah, before he knew he had a crew, there wasn't no punk, and they spit fire shirts and SB dubs, they would push till they couldn't skate no more. Office building lobbies wasn't safe no more, and it wasn't like they wasn't getting chased no more. Just the freedom was better than breathing, they said. An escape route they used to escape out when things got crazy, they needed to break out. They had to any place for stairs, any good rhymes, the world was theirs. And they four wheels would take them there until the cops came and said, "There's no skating here." And so they kick, push, coast. And the way they roll, just rebels without a cause with no place to go. And so they kick, push, coast. So come roll with me, just a rebel, looking for a place to be. So let's kick, and push, and coast. Swing it.
Once again, my friends, it's Friday, your day, our day. Glad to have you here on the podcast. Want to shout out a couple of local businesses that show love and support to this podcast. Kono's Restaurant, 16 Clinton Street, Newark, New Jersey. Tell them you heard about them on the podcast. Also, we've got the Food House at 764 Broad Street. Proprietor's name is Johan, lovely Isamar, his wife. Tell them you heard about us on the podcast.
Hey, why you wanna go on to that? Hey, why you wanna go on to that? Hey, why you wanna go on to that? Yeah, in a relationship, it's like some two niggas go back. Hey, why you wanna go on to that? Love, hey, why you wanna go on to that? Let's do that. Hey, why you wanna go on to that? Can't help but notice how you glowing like a king. Your face, man, I just wonder if you know it's supposed to be on the place. Whatever you like a queen, me in this place, so you can get back this ring and the key to this place. Tell a nigga one thing that you need space. Tell a nigga one thing you need to change. I want to kiss you everywhere between your knees and one. Hear the sounds that you make and get your knees to say. Holla at me and the be need to escape. I got a mention in the game, you need to say. But there's a pound now, trouble 23 escape. Tell the cheese in the plate, how much cheese to take. This is Jackson need to take, ain't need to wait. Say a word, we can leave day. It's so special, let it feel like fake. Hate to make a mistake. How to find a thing, make you say, it makes you say. Go tell a nigga no, hey, why you wanna go on to that? Hey, why you wanna go on to that?
Once again, sit back, relax. You're right here with us Friday night. Cooler Talk. That's right, you don't have to run, you don't have to walk, just chill.
I can't do shit like that, make it feel like this. Time never came back and it feel like this. New me in the front of back and make you feel it in your chest. Take advantage of it, you can feel it in your dress. When you make you too fresh, you serve you to the best. Compliment you on your intellect, treat you with respect. You say you sweat, so I kiss it on your chest. Build a path, so she got it like this side. And I can tell you want to get another bitch out. Man, ain't nobody got me open like this. Got chill. Don't you confuse, ain't you tired of where you should go with it. Saying no when your pen is so wet. Go and tell a nigga no. Hey, why you wanna go on to that? Connection in the building. Keep it simple, man. Hey, I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm showing you how to do, you know what I'm saying? Put stuff all in that for you. Follow your foot, man. I just got a question for you. Did you happen? Go and tell the niggas no. Hey, why you wanna go on the Hey, why you wanna go on the Hey, why you wanna go on the Hey, in a relationship, why you wanna go on the Hey, why you wanna go on the Hey, why you wanna go on the Hey, why you wanna go on the Go and tell the niggas no.
Once again, local businesses that show love and support to this podcast. We got Halsey News, 2 Prudential Drive, downtown Brick City, North New Jersey, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Say hello to Shaida. She'll definitely be glad to meet, greet, and see ya. Lots of things that on your way to and coming from work you might just want to grab while you're in the Halsey News. Check out what she may have. Cake slices, oh yeah, different flavors. Red velvet, butter pecan, lemon, chocolate frosted, pineapple upside down, and so much more. That's 2 Halsey News, Prudential Drive right here in Brick City, New Jersey. That's right, Newark. That's right. Once again, these are local businesses that support and show love to this podcast. So we want to make sure we give a little bit of love back to them as well. Make sure you give a visit to them. You got, once again, Kodos Restaurant at 16 Clinton Street. You've got the Fruit House at 764 Broad Street. And you have got Halsey News at 2 Prudential Drive. That's right. Make sure you're in the city. You feel the vibe. Visit these restaurants. Let them know that these businesses, let them know that you heard about them from the podcast. All right. All right. Thank you very much once again for that insight. Now, before we start, we've got to shout out just a few websites that I think you should visit and take a look at. Once again, we got liquidmana.com. That's Mana spelled M-A-N-N like Nancy, A.com, liquidmana.com. That's right. They got a bunch of different oxygenated products on that website. And in an oxygen-rich environment, guess what? Bacteria, viruses, and other things just cannot thrive. So you might want to go check them out, see what they got for you. The energy that comes from these products is amazing. So definitely check them out. If you want to order, use this code at checkout. It is GTF2025. That's right, GTF 2025. That is your code to enter at checkout so you get your discount off of your order. That's right. You got a discount coming off your order. GTF 2025 when you go to liquidmana.com. Use that coupon code when you go to checkout. And guess what? You've got percentage off of your entire order. That's right. We worked that out with them. They love us. They love our podcast. They love our listeners. So in return, they're giving us a discount. Check it out, liquidmana.com. Check out code GTF2025. Enter that right before you process your order and get the discount. That's a standing thing. So as many times as you go, as many times as you can use that particular code. Now, we also have ProLogicStrategies.com. That's my man FloFokuz. You got to check out what he's got going on. I'm telling you, it's something nice. It's something nice. Go ahead and go over there and take a slice of life on the ProLogic Strategy side. That's right. ProLogicStrategy.com. Also go /news for upcoming events, upcoming podcasts, upcoming panels. That's right. Upcoming summits. That's right. Go over there, check it out. Also, you can also sign up to be a member. So head over to ProLogicStrategies.com. Create your account today. Get your bonus points of 1,500 toward our next Flipside event. It's the last one of the year in this month of October. the very last Friday of the month. We're doing another flip side, and it will be the last one of the year. The next one will begin in 2026. So make sure you sign up for ProLogicStrategies.com. Use those bonus points to enter into the bonus round for the big bonus giveaway. That's right. Once again, ProLogicStrategies.com, my friends. Create your account today. We also have networkingforsuccess.info/Grooveology. I'm going to spell that GROOVOLOGY-360. That is our thank you page for all of you returning listeners as well as your new listeners to the podcast. We want to direct your attention to networkingforsuccess.info/Grooveology-360. Our thank you and gift page link is at the top of that page. Click on it. It's going to drop down. It's going to open up for you, and you're going to see all of the offers that are there for you to take advantage of. Just a little token that we want to share with you for being here, listeners on our podcast. We love you. We love when you come back. We love to hear your voices. We love when you listen. So therefore, we're going to show some love your way all the time and all day, every day that we can. And last but not least, BearcatBody.com. Lovely Leslie Wright has done it again, my friends. Her products are out of sight. I'm going to tell you something right now. I've been using the eye products. Yes, I have. And it has been making a difference. There has been some improvement in some areas. I can't say that everything is back to everything, but there is some improvement, which is some promise. And also, I have been using her dental products. I'm going to tell you something. The dental paste that she's created out of all natural products comes in a glass jar. A glass jar with a screw on and off top, okay? Dip your toothbrush in there. Brush your teeth for just about 2 or 3 minutes with it. Brush your gums, your tongue. It has this minty flavor like spearmint or wintergreen. I think, as a matter of fact, there are different flavors. There is a mint and a wintergreen. So I think I'm tasting wintergreen in my mouth when I'm done. And guess what? It's with me for most of the day. Not like a toothpaste that you buy off the shelf and you brush your teeth with, and you kind of got that nice taste for a little bit, and then later on it's gone. No. This is lasting. So this is actually going into the mouth. And to me, from what I'm feeling, it's actually improving my dental health. I like that a lot. So I'm going to tell you, head on over to BearcatBody.com, everybody. Check out Leslie Wright's products for your eyes, for your dental, exfoliation for your skin, moisturizers. She's got those as well. She's got body butters. I'm telling you, she has got just about everything you need. So make sure you go over there and check her out. Don't be shy. Tell her how I tell you heard about her from the podcast, all right? Definitely that. And with that, my friends, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for allowing us to bring you that information. As you know, we do that before we start our podcast. We want to make sure that we get everybody in and show some love to those that show love to us back. And with that, my friends, once again, welcome to Friday Night Cool and Talk right here with your host, Marcus, and FloFokuz, Xtra-Hype Connection. That's right. You've made it here. You're part of the connection. Make sure you continue to invite. And we got a panel coming up November 14th. We're going to have 5 holistic practitioners on at one time. That's going to be a very special show. We're going to give you more details as it comes. But I'm going to tell you, those of you who have issues, those who have health challenges, whatever it may be, I want you to come, and I also want you to take the notice that we're going to send you and send it out to people with a note. Please come and invite others, okay? We're going to have people on this panel who have holistically dealt with diabetes, who have dealt with vision loss, who have dealt with lifestyle changes, who have dealt with all kinds of other challenges that we may have. And they have actually found some solutions. So I would really, really encourage everybody, once we get out this information to you, please reserve your seat. Please reserve your seat. Because listen, we only got room for 1,000. And right now, the response has swelled to over 3,000. So please make sure you get in. All right, get in early. We may even open up some live streaming ports so we can accommodate everybody else. But right now, the count is over 3,000. November 14th, starting at 6 p.m. All right? So don't forget that, my friends. All right, without further ado, let's do what we do and let's get into this. Today, we continue a little bit more into stewardship. It does spin off of civics, but our civic duty is to make sure that we take care of home, and our stewardship duties and obligations are to make sure that we take care of our home world, okay? And all the living creatures and all of the life in it and all of the environment and everything that rests squarely on us. But what I'm going to tell everybody right now, and please pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. This is very important. This is a concept that has taken many years and many decades to come to the final realization of the nails that were holding down the coffin door. They weren't hammered all the way in, but just enough to keep the door from being able to open unless you got a good leverage point to push up against what was behind you and the door in front of you to actually pop it open. And now it has popped open. So here's what we're going to tell you tonight. We have a crisis going on. We have a crisis. And this crisis is one that is related to identity. Identity. Now, this is not the identity as you would say, let's say, your driver's license or, a county, ID card or city ID card or, any documents that identify you. No. This has everything to do with a gag. Some goofballs and some jokers, listen to me and hear me out well, who came in and ripped up everything. And they started with our homeland first. They started with that. And then they ended up into our business, our personal lives. First of all, our professional lives. Then into our personal lives. Then into our family lives. And then into our relationships. And as far down as they can drill and go, they just get into everything and they rip everything up to shreds. They just go and tatter everything. And then you know what? They leave, they're out. Once they rip it all up, there's nothing else to do. They move on to the next spot and the next one and the next one. And then their crew comes behind them and takes all of the stuff that has been ripped up and they take it away. So not only do they injure, but they also add insult to the injury and rip up and tear up everything and they say, you can't have it. Take it away from you. Okay, so let's get into this. The question here is not one of what we have, but the question is, what has us? Something has us. Like having a donkey by the tail, and I wouldn't want to do that. Because some things can kick, okay? And I believe that they hurt. So I wouldn't want to grab a donkey by the tail, but metaphorically speaking, there's something that has us. And the way that we can tell that there's something that has us in our daily lives is because we always have this impending sense of something could possibly happen that may not go well. And if that is the case, then what systems or what do I have in place? What do we have in place that we can call on in a pinch? Because just in case it goes down, We want to know that we can get to people and then they can come around where we are and be there for us. Well, I'm going to tell you what has us. It's an impending sense of punitive punishment. In other words, you don't do what we tell you to do, this is what's going to happen to you. So pay attention. Do as we say. Fall in line. When the rules change, don't have anything to say. And you just may make it another day. Now, let me qualify this for you, and let me paint this picture. An impending sense of punitive punishment is found where? In a penal system. A penal system of pains and punishment for actions that were done that should not have been done. And we see this with this so-called corrective system, where they imprison people, or let's just say they put them inside of a place that they are not able to leave. Can't go. Got to stay there. You got to deal with all the nonsense, all of being cramped up, all the invasive searches, all the violations that are placed against people, and all of the embarrassment that goes on, all of the pain, the stress, the trauma, the theft that goes on. You call that a corrective system. That's a fight for your life. But they say when people commit certain acts, they have to be punished. There's a penal system that punishes them so that they won't be bad again. Now, think of this, and I want you to hear this. That happens without us being behind the bars, behind the wall. How so? Well, listen to this. Your insurance company, the school that you attended or attend now, the job that you work for, the credit card company that issues you your credit card and then monitors what you spend and writes up these terms and conditions, your medical insurance, in addition to your car insurance, they all have something in common. And there is a punishment and a penalty if you don't follow their rules. Now, let me make this point. If you were not guilty of doing something, then why would there have to be a penalty and a punishment attached to something that you are involved with? Because aren't you innocent until you have committed an act and been proven guilty of it, to where you are sent to a penal system institution for corrective actions? Then if that is the case, then think about on the outside world here. Didn't you get detention in school if you were late, or if you didn't do your homework, or if you cut up in class, or if you got caught doing something in the school hall, so you were roaming around and you should have been in class, or if you started a food fight in the cafeteria? Didn't you get some type of punishment? Right. What about at your job? You don't come in on time. You're just a few minutes late, maybe even 30 seconds late. Or the boss gave you some extra work to do that you knew was impossible for you to finish, and there were maybe 10 other people not doing anything, but the boss came to you, put all of it stacked on your desk and said, hey, this has to be done by tomorrow. And because you were not able to perform an impossibility, you got written up. Now, wait a minute. If everything was supposed to be to where you could enjoy life and enjoy the company of others and the conversation, the camaraderie, the whole enhancement within the environment to create a community that thrives, that excels, where people exercise acceptance, respect, trust. Why would there have to be any pains and penalties and punishment associated with that if it's a foreign concept to that environment? Do you get where we're going here? It's everywhere. It's not just in the correctional institutes. No, it's out here. It's everywhere. It's in everything we do, everything we see, everything we say, everything we hear, smell, touch, talk about, and experience. What do the doctors say? Oh, listen, if you don't take this, then this is going to happen to you. And you know what? Most of the time, they're being truthful. They are being true. In other words, don't take this and watch what happens. It's everywhere. But here's a question. The biggest question. Why are we being treated like this, as though we're common criminals, as though we need to be punished at the whim of someone else? We have to be neglected as a way to teach us a lesson according to somebody else's thoughts, feelings, and impulses. And it seems that what? We can't do nothing about it. Stay in the house. Because if you don't stay in the house and come outside, guess what? You're going to jail. For coming out to get fresh air, to get some sun, to walk around, to feel a cool breeze. Well, if you come outside, which is a natural thing to do, we're going to punish you. I seem to remember a movie called Minority Report, starring Tom Cruise, Precog, supposedly saw in the future where somebody was going to do something, so they punished them before it happened. Why are we being treated like this? I'm going to tell you something, and hear me out, because there is an answer. It doesn't have anything to do with our race. It has nothing to do with our culture. I should say very little to do with race, to do with culture, to do with community, to do with nationality, to do with customs, to do with practices, to do with lifestyles, to do with gender, to do with age. It has very little to do with that. Those are all systemic happenings as a result of the root problem. There's a root. I'm about to tell you what the root is. And it may sound a bit strange, but follow me. Humor me, if you will. All right. Sit in your seats, get ready, because I'm about to tell you this. I'm going to tell you when it's all started, and we're going to put the dots together so you can get the picture. Each and every one of us knows inherently that everything that we know about this universe, these galaxies, these planets, everything that we know, there was a great architect, a creator. Some would say a supreme being, some would say God, some would say who or whatever they refer to our creator as. But everybody inherently knows that this was not made with technology that we understand. This is vast and expansive. This is all the way to where we can't even see the end of it. So we know that there was a creation. But there was also a second creation. I'm not going back to the book. I'm going back to this New Deal. Around the turn of the 20th century, around about there, the end of the 19th, going into the 20th, there were systems put into place prior to the creation of something new. They called it a New Deal. But it separated the continental United States from the commercial United States. But they took the words continental away so that we would never get an understanding that that needed to be a part of our understanding and knowledge base. And they left the commercial side there and just called it United States. This makes the rules for this whole area that we're governing over. But what they didn't tell us was that it wasn't the continental area. It was only the areas where federal enclaves and forts and militaries and arsenals and bases were located in certain states. Didn't tell us that. But okay, conveniently left out. No problem. But here's where it gets interesting. Before this New Deal, they experimented with some things called these little certificates of birth, or live birth certificates, or certificate of live birth. But that's also a misnomer, because under the Maternity Act, they figured they put out legislation to say that this is a better way to keep track of how many children were born and the care that they were receiving and the processes and procedures they would go through to make sure that children were born healthy and that the mothers were also healthy through the whole procedure and everybody was okay. And that they would record the events. Okay. Now, let's fast forward from that New Deal up to the present day. And let's say you get you get together, 9 months later, you and somebody else are going to have a baby. It's a wonderful thing. And so where you're at, you're either in the hospital, you're in a birthing center, or you're at home with whoever is going to assist you with this whole event. Okay. And the baby is born, the mother is fine, the father passed out during the whole procedure because he never seen nothing like that. It was the first time in his life. And he passed out and he finally came to. And the baby's crying and, he's cooing with the baby, and then he puts his finger in the baby's hand and the baby squeezes his finger like, a death grip. Ain't going to let it go. And then finally, once the, incubation period is over, the baby's taken out, put into a blanket, swaddled, little scully put on, looking very, very cute. The eyes are now, wiped. The glaze is wiped away from the eyes so that the baby can open the eyes and all that great stuff. All right, fine. And after that whole event, someone comes into your room, it's a nurse usually, or they appear to be nurses, and they say, we just wanted to make sure that we understand that, you're going to name your baby this, and you're the mom, and you're the dad, and blah, blah, blah. And here's your baby's demographics: brown eyes, black hair, length is about maybe, I'd say maybe about 20 inches, weight maybe about 4 or 5, maybe about 8 or 9 pounds, so, heartbeat is steady at this, respiration is steady at this. They say, sign here, please. So you sign. You didn't just sign for your baby, you signed for its estate. Now here's where it gets interesting. And after I go through this, FloFokuz is going to come through with some different points that we, put together earlier so that this can tie it all together with us activating what we call our super steward powers and abilities, because we have to operate in two different jurisdictions, but we're only trained to see one. That's the problem. It's a big misdirection and a big deception with respect to what we're looking at and how we are identified and how we identify ourselves to others. Okay, so let me move forward. Like I said, you didn't sign for your baby only, you signed for its estate. Now, what is the estate? Well, the estate is part of creation. Before there can be anything else, there must be an estate. In other words, before you can have a farm, you have to have ground, you have to have land, you have to have soil, you have to have barns, you have to have hay, you have to have feed, you have to have all of these things before you can even have a farm. That is the estate. That comes before the actual thing. The estate of a newborn baby is the amniotic sac that it developed in and was released from, similar to a butterfly emerging from a cocoon. The cocoon was its estate, where it had its gestation period and it transformed from one noticeable being into something much more beautiful, much more enhanced, and much more capable and adept. Total transformation. But it transformed via its estate. So you had the estate, and once the process within the estate for these purposes took place, now comes out a being that is phenomenal, that is amazing, that is godlike. Says hello to the world. What about the estate? Well, the estate is evidence that we have a right to be here and that everything on this plane is under our dominion when we come of age to be proper stewards. Why? Because we emerge from a pod just like an apple tree does, with the seedling that comes out of the apple seed pod. The pod that covers what's inside it, protects it, nourishes it, gives it nutrients, keeps it warm until it's ready and it develops enough to emerge from it, just like fruit seeds, just like vegetable seeds. Look at the chicken and the egg. Same thing. When fish lay eggs, they call them caviar, but what emerges from that estate? Exactly. Well, the estate is our amniotic sac. And what happens to that amniotic placenta and all that stuff? Well, it's taken away by the medical professionals, the nurses, the other helping hands that assisted in the whole process, with the baby being born on this plane, and they took that and said, we're going to take this, you don't mind, you don't want this, right? Well, why do they want it? Because it's evidence, it's power. It identifies how we arrived. You have to go through a process in order to actually be placed here on the soil. If you don't go through the process, then you don't have a right to be here. And if you don't have a right to be here, then anyone and anything can treat you any old kind of way because you are an invader and you are not supposed to be here. You're just like a virus or a bacteria that causes disease and infection. That's why you can treat another entity that way if it has not gone through the process. And these entities that we call corporations, associations, organizations, S corps, C corps, LLCs, trusts, nonprofits, they don't go through the process. They're made up. They're fictions. They're fictions. Therefore, they have no feelings. You can treat them any way you want to. You can, treat them mean. You can treat them nice. It doesn't matter. They don't feel anything. They just do. They're pushed. They're constructed to perform, and that's it. No feelings. It ain't personal. It's just business. That's it. The estate, however, is a little bit different. When they took our estate away from us, they did it prematurely because, as you know, a baby, when it comes out, it's still connected by what? An umbilical cord. Now, a very good piece of information was given about that umbilical cord. And I must thank the person that gave it. I must thank Missy. Thank you so much. The reason that umbilical cord is still attached is because the whole birthing process is not completed. The emergence of the baby from the estate, yes, indicates that, yes, it's time for the baby to come out. The baby is big enough, strong enough. It can now say hello to the world. It's still attached to an umbilical cord. Why? Because there's still stem cells, nutrients, vitamins, and vital fluids that transfer from that estate, that sac, that placental pod, to that baby through that umbilical cord. And when that process is finished, that placental pod will begin to shrivel, will begin to detract, will begin to kind of shrink. And the umbilical cord will also begin to thin out. And then I guess it can be clipped or it may detach on its own. I'm not sure. But the hospital has a medical record for the baby and for the mother because they both went through a life event. So the medical record is not called a birth certificate. It's called a medical record. It's called a birth event. Some places call it something different, but for generic purposes, it's the event of birth. Why is it a medical record? Well, because somebody bled, somebody lost fluid, somebody's heartbeat and respiration had to be monitored, their blood pressure had to be monitored, because they were in a very traumatic and stressful situation, and there were two that were effectively involved in that. That is documented. There are notes. There are professionals there, or people that know what they're doing, what has to be done, and they document all of this in medical journals. They also call it a crib sheet for the baby. And then there are usually pages that are kept about the development of the baby over a period of days before the baby and the mom are released to go home from the hospital. That's a medical record. That's free of charge. That has all your demographics. Birth certificate nowadays is just a piece of paper. It's actually bonded paper. It's neither here nor there right now, but it's thick paper. Has a seal of the Registrar of Deeds and the seal of the State Medical Association, one of the two. And it has some signatures on it, and it has a name of a father, a name of a mother, and a name of an infant child. That's a commercial piece of paper. The word child and the word infant are used in commercial matters. There's a parent corporation and there's also a child corporation. The parent company gives birth to a child or lesser or infant company, not a baby. Babies are for people that are alive. Child, infant, parent are for fictions. Mother, father, or mom, dad are for living people. Parent is a title. It is a label. Infant, child is a label or a title or an office. Now, that being said, let's move a little bit forward now. So we now have an understanding of a medical record and how it differs from a birth certificate, and what one has and the other doesn't, because on a birth certificate you do not have demographics. You only have names, you have dates, you have times, and you may have a registration date. But here's the interesting thing, and anybody can basically fact check me on this. Vital Records does not register people. Vital Records only registers events. They do not have anything to do with registering people at all. And you can actually call up Vital Records in any state and they will tell you this emphatically, that they do not register people. Reason being is because that is human trafficking. They're not going to set themselves up to fail. They're not going to do it. So they don't register people. They only register events. But there are no people that they can put in their documentation. They can only register an event. So what did they register? They registered a fiction. In other words, if I get a letter from, let's just say, a phone company, let's say Transit Communication, and somebody types their name at the bottom, John Doe. I have no idea who John Doe is. I can only say, well, this name is someone called John Doe, but I have no idea what John Doe looks like, what he sounds like, what his eye color is, his hair color is, how tall he is, how much he weighs, if he breathes, if he perspires, or anything. I don't know. So what can I have? Nothing. There's nothing for me to point to because I have no idea who John Doe is by looking at this piece of paper, because it doesn't describe John Doe. Now, if Vital Records says we do not register people, and we carry a birth certificate around and someone says, this is your birth certificate, so the information on here describes you fully, doesn't it? It can't, because it has no information of a person or a real life man or woman on there, not even the parents. It may have age, but that doesn't mean anything. It may have names, that doesn't mean anything. It has times and dates, that definitely doesn't mean anything. Not with respect to living people. So if Vital Records cannot register people and they can't put demographics on their documentation, then why are we carrying this thing around and saying, here, this is me? You know what they call that in the land of make-believe? They call that impersonation. Impersonating someone or something. You know what else they call that? They call it identity theft. So therefore, the reason why we are being treated the way that we are being treated is not because of our direct defiance or ignorance to the law, which means that you have been made aware of the law, you know the law, it has been given to you. People can actually prove that it was taken as an elective or a required course in your high school or your undergraduate studies or your graduate studies. They can point back to somewhere or some activity where this was actually presented to you. There's a record that it was attached to you that, hey, you took this particular course in law, so you were made aware of it, but maybe you just didn't pay attention to it, so you ignored it. You didn't learn it, but that's still on you for not properly learning and vetting the information. So that's what ignorance of the law means. You are presumed to have been presented with the law to learn, but what they don't firm up as a fact is when did that happen and where's the documentation to show it, because they only operate on presumptions in the land of make-believe because everything is made up. So they presume that you were educated, that you knew, that you were offered this and that. There are records to show that. They just haven't had their hands on them to put them in front of you and say, here it is, because they're only operating on, I suppose. And that's part of the reason why we're getting into trouble. But the other part of the reason is because those who are adept in that land of make-believe understand certain things, that nothing in that land is actually what it seems to be. So therefore, when we take a birth certificate or we take a driver's license, which is really a piece of plastic with a bunch of writing on it, and they say, okay, is this you holding up a driver's license? We say, well, yes, that's me. We just lied. We just committed perjury. Didn't know it. Because how can a piece of plastic be us? And how can we be in two different places at one time? How can we be in somebody's hand and yet standing 20 to 30 feet away from them saying, yes, what you have in your hand is me. That's me. Is this you? Yes, that's me. No, that's an image which is in the likeness of me, but that you're holding in your hand is a piece of plastic. I'm right here. So that's not me. That's a physical piece of plastic. I weigh more than that plastic, and you couldn't pick me up with your two fingers no matter how hard you tried, unless you might be on the moon. This is where they're getting us. But we're not finished yet. Not finished yet. I'm taking you down this path to give you an idea along the way throughout our lives, from the beginning and the inception up to the present, what has been happening, what has been unfolded, what has not been told to us, what are we not aware of that is going on, that keeps happening over and over and over and over again, to where people get injured, people get put to death, people get paralyzed, severely traumatized, incarcerated for things that they did not do. And the proof is there, but guess what? Nobody wants the proof in the land of make-believe. Why? Because it shatters. It shatters it. They suppose, they presume. But here we go. Here we go. I was having a conversation, this is many years ago, after I had been studying some of this stuff and kind of just trying to find out how this thing could actually be. But I spoke to somebody. I actually spoke to two people. They were in an office, and there was one who was at the desk, and they wanted to see my birth certificate. Now, I had a little bit of knowledge back then, but I didn't really have an understanding. and there were two people who were sitting at desks. And when I was speaking to the receptionist at the counter, they had my birth certificate. I thought of something. I said, wait a minute. I said, this birth certificate, do you think that describes me? And the person at the counter didn't say anything. And there were two people sitting at desks, and they heard what I said, and they looked directly at me. So I caught their gaze, but I also was dealing with the person at the counter. And I said, wait a minute. This birth certificate doesn't describe me, what you physically see in front of you. Is there anything on this birth certificate that actually, over time, has been upgraded and updated to reflect my image in front of you? Do you see anything on here? The person at the counter didn't say anything, but the two people sitting at the desk both shook their heads no at the same time. So then I began to kind of look at them a little bit more and include them in the conversation. And I said, so being that this doesn't describe me, then this thing has nothing to do with me, does it? And they both shook their head no, but the person at the counter didn't say anything. And I said, this thing never described me, did it? And they said, no, shaking their heads. Once again, not saying it, but shaking their heads. And so I said, that this thing is not me, and I've been using this thing all wrong, haven't I? And then they shook their head yes. And I said, bingo. This ain't got nothing to do with me. This is an estate. This is what laid the groundwork before I even developed fully to be able to come here. But what happened? They named that estate after me and after you and after each and every one of us. And where'd they do that? In that made up land, the land of make-believe. They put it on a birth certificate, which only presumes and supposes and leaves everything open-ended so that we fill in the blanks that aren't even on the face of the document. How can we say that this document represents us when it doesn't even describe us? Well, we put it in front of somebody and say, yeah, that's me. We just committed a crime. We just committed perjury. That's why on the job, with the benefits offices, with the insurance companies, with, of course, the government agencies and the government officials and all of that stuff, even in schools, there's always punishments, penalties for things, because they constructed a penal system that is so vast that we think it's normal life, and it ain't. And they did it, and this was actually sinisterly brilliant. But this was done. Why? To see what's going to happen next. And because they can, because things were not so much hidden from us, but we were misdirected to look somewhere else. They named this estate after us instead of giving it our family name. And now we're answering for a thing that we can no longer see, that we can't handle, that we don't even have a memory of. Not even an image, not even a photograph. But it was documented. Its time of expiration was documented too. Now, with that being the case, that certificate and the name title on the certificate was all made in the land of make-believe. Then who's controlling the demographics of that particular thing. Anybody who gets their hands on it. And the reason why they're controlling it is because, properly speaking, it is a name, but it operates in a commercial venue, transactions, hand to hand, all day, every day. Isn't your estate name on your bank card the same typography in all caps? Isn't it on your driver license? Isn't it on your city ID? When they give you a bracelet in the hospital, isn't it all caps on that bracelet? When you enroll in school, aren't your documents, don't they all appear in all caps? That's all the estate. Everywhere that document touches, people are taking a piece of it and taking a piece out of our hide and saying, if you don't follow what we tell you to, these are the penalties and punishments that you are going to have to deal with. These are your consequences in the land of make-believe. But then I'm gonna land it here before I turn it over to my co-host, FloFokuz. There's one thing that stops them from being able to do anything that they want to do with you commercially, financially, and interactively. You ever heard of the Patent and Trademark Office? Well, you know you can trademark a name. And once that name has a mark, which is a T surrounded by a circle that goes right next to the name, anyone that wants to use that particular name has to get permission from the one who is the trademark holder, which would be the one who had it trademarked in the first place. Similar to the way that Morgan Freeman did it, similar to the way that Nicole Kidman did it, and similar to the way that Reg Fox did it, created a derivative or shortened their given name to have a professional name, put a trademark on it, and then they did everything in that name. Licenses, this thing, IDs, documentation, all done with that trademark symbol, and got another type of number for it, an EIN, and probably created an estate and an EIN on paper so that everything could be done proper and in order. We, most of us, have never been given this information. And we spin around and around and around like a whirling dervish, like a spinning top, kicking up dust, but staying in the same spot, burning out. And so finally we can't do it no more. We got to sit down somewhere because we just burnt out. Stress, trauma, all of this stuff, all of our lives. We said, I thought there was something more to life than being born, working my fingers to the bone, and then just sitting there not being able to do nothing. Well, there is. We just were never aware of it. And that, my friends, is a form of slavery. But it's not with physical chains and manacles. No. This is something far more sinisterly brilliant, my friends. This is somebody coming along and blocking your view so you can't see what's behind them. And they can direct your attention to something else and then tell you about these pains and penalties that will visit themselves upon you if you don't do this or that. Why? because in the commercial venue, we have not taken control of the thing that they are controlling because it passed to them hand to hand and had no indication that it was marked and controlled by someone exclusively that they needed permission from to even deal with. Basically, it's wide open and everybody can take it and get a turn now. Hate to say it that way, but that is what it is, my friends. That is what it is. At the end of that progression, one of the things that stops them is making sure that your property is marked. I believe it was in the Old Testament stories that there were certain people that would be marked by God. I think that's what the scriptures say, that God placed a mark on certain of his people so that everybody would know, oh, no, you don't mess with that one right there. No, come over here. No, don't you go messing with them. You see that mark on them? No. Leave that one alone. Trust me. Believe me when I tell you, you want to keep your body. You don't want your arms falling off, okay? So leave them alone. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Xtra-Hype. Connection. Oh, yeah, you're coming in loud and clear.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Instruction.
Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Thanks, FloFokuz. Appreciate you chiming in with those points and that information to just give us a good perspective point of things to be able to be done and how to learn how to operate with the new knowledge base, new information, should we choose to accept it. Now, I'll say this as well, because I'm not gonna add to your point or take it away. I'm gonna let it resonate because it's very important that we realize that yes, there are two different things going on here, but they have not been blended into one thing. You know, we absolutely do operate in our own private capacities because at home, you know, that's where you're king, that's where your castle is, that's where you are the ruler. Therefore, at your home, everything should be the way that it should be. Now, there are certain things within this land of make believe that still apply across the board. Theft is not permitted, property destruction is not permitted, harm, injury, and loss is not supposed to be permitted. Okay? However, I want to give everybody an example here because I know that somebody has probably a question about this, but okay, what do we say about people who get jumped on, pounced on, beat up, roughed up? harmed, injured, really, really bad, damage to their bodies that can never be, made right again, as far as we know. What about those people wrongfully incarcerated? All of these things. Well, let me give you a little bit. I'm just going to give you a little bit here, and you can go and research this on your own. Whenever you control a piece of the commercial world, which is what? Run on the back of what? Your estate name. It is spelled correctly, but the typography is what's different. As we were often taught in school, you never do your name in all uppercase. If the teacher ever saw us writing in all uppercase, they would immediately correct us and say, no, you write that in lowercase. Yeah, uppercase are the letters, but you must write the first letter of your name or a sentence in uppercase, and everything that follows after that is lowercase. And that's how we learn composition. They would never let us write our names in all uppercase. Never. And even to this day, it's still the same way. You don't write in all uppercase to identify someone that is living or something that is living for that matter. Never. So basically what has gone on here is a mind screw. It's been the biggest and most successfully, sinisterly brilliant mind screw that I think that I could ever have imagined, from generation to generation, and just kept building and adding parts and becoming more intricate. But it's a mind screw. They're screwing with people's minds. And when they say that we actually create the resonant frequency of the environment and the outcome of events that happen, that is because we all speak the same about these events. In a manner of speaking, we speak negatively. We speak with anticipatory dread or disaster, fear, panic, tension, stress, insanity in some cases, panic attacks. We hyperventilate, we shake, we don't know what to do. We're in a state and in a stupor, and we haven't even been drinking, we're not inebriated. We can't stand up, we're dizzy. All of these things. Because what happened? We were made to believe that we had to do as someone says, but even if they don't do what they're saying is the right thing to do, we can't question them about that. Or what? Punishment. Penalties. In a penal system that was just made up. It's a prison without walls. But it's a prison for your mind. And they almost got away with it. Almost. Until some brilliant minds came together and formed think tanks everywhere. And began to really seriously look at what the problem is. And put their finger on it. And it was a name. A name that was made up that really isn't our name. It applies to something else, but it actually looks just like our name, identical to it in every letter. Just the typography is wrong. But that's what appears on every single document and piece of paper that we carry around. And we're saying that, yeah, this is us. That estate is in the commercial venue. It's in the commercial jurisdiction, I should say, where commerce touches everything. And because commerce touches it, then it can be regulated because that is where it was created. That's the realm of creation where it was forged. And then it was given to us and we didn't know what to do with it. Not our fault, but we just didn't know. And all of these incredible and fantastic theories came about so that what would we do? We would go down different avenues, run down different roads, be divided, and easier to defeat. All of it was designed to keep us distracted and divided so that we would never come back to divide what was true, but always spun around in a circle until we were dizzy and still frustrated at the end of the day. A mark has that much power. And the one who has chain of title and custody over that mark now can say to or demonstrate to whoever, excuse me, I would really appreciate it if you would cease and desist from sending me any invitations to come to where you are to be a part of your activities unless you get permission from the mark holder over this trademarked name. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. If you do not cease and desist within this amount of days or this amount of time, then these penalties will be directed toward you. Simple as that. Want to hear something else really amazing? Some who were in the corrective institutes found this as a way for them to actually expurgate themselves from the institution. When you hold that title, when you hold that name, you lock it up. Nobody else has permission to use it because the Patent and Trademark Office is a Tasmanian devil when it comes to those marks. Someone who's using those things without permission and refuses to stop now test the PTO. And they say, oh, you want to test us? Okay, not a problem. You want to go against us and the rule of law when it comes down to marks. Oh, okay, not a problem. They become a buzzsaw and they begin ripping people to shreds, ripping organizations to shreds. They go right through them like a buzzsaw. No mercy. Because when it comes to those marks, they stake their reputation on that. Nobody's gonna show them up. Not gonna happen. Just like nobody messes with the post office. They are the baddest gorilla in the room. Then after the post office is the Patent and Trademark Office. And then we have a line that follows in succession down there, but we won't get to that today. But we basically put this out there as information. Now, I can't tell anybody what to do, but this was all put out for your information and for your education if you choose it. But fact check it. If you doubt any of it, call Vital Records. Call where you were born. It doesn't matter. Vital Records where you were born. Call them. Ask them straight up. Ask them, do they register people? They will straight up tell you, no, we don't. Then I guess that would mean that certificate that they give you that you pay for has nothing to do with describing people, or else it would be on the certificate that they give you presently. It ain't there. It ain't there. So with that, my friends, questions, comments, statements. I know it was a lot, but sometimes we need a lot so that later on we can spread it out as we move forward. Because everything will have a use along the way. Questions, comments, statements. The floor is open, my friends. The floor is open. All righty. Well, I think everybody here is running on good ground because no one seems to have a question or a comment or a statement to make. So we will do this. Directly following our podcast this evening, we will have Brother Edward coming on with Thine Will Be Done at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Friday right here on the Grown Folk Talking, Express Yourself Progressive Podcast Network. Now, I want to make an announcement once again that we made early in the podcast, but I want to make it again so that everybody's aware of what we have going on and what we have coming up. Please go to prologicstrategies.com/news. Okay? Type that in at the prologicstrategies.com website. See what upcoming events, see and hear what upcoming events, what upcoming forums, what summits, what panels we have upcoming, what events, what trips are upcoming, collaborations that are going to be upcoming. They're going to be listed. They're going to be posted. And also on that news feed, there's also going to be advertising space for those of you who are entrepreneurs, those of you who really know how to get out there fast and heavy and make it happen, and you want to have some kind of visual, eye candy for people to see and check you out. ProLogic Strategies is a very, very good and adept place for that to happen. So make sure you go ahead, check out prologicstrategies.com/news. Also, create your free account. Sign up for your free account at prologicstrategies.com. Also, encouraging future entrepreneurs of today for the development of tomorrow. All right? So we got all that going on at prologicstrategies.com, plus a whole lot more. Also, we have our past episodes on YouTube, but also at prologicstrategies.com as well. So all of our past podcasts, you can check them out there. And the events that have been attended. That's right. A couple of events at the August event. Both FloFokuz and I were there. And just recently, last month of September, FloFokuz attended a gala event with the Alpha Pack in New York, and he's got footage from that as well. So we are broadening and branching out and bringing awareness of the Grown Folk Talk and Express Yourself Network to others as well. So we're getting it done, everybody. We're getting it done. Now, before we get ready to do our summations and our closings, I want to make sure that no one has a question, comment, or statement to make. Now, anybody have any questions about how you might want to deal with, let's say, someone harassing you through the mail, on the phone, inviting you to things that you don't want to be at, like jury duty, or to testify in a case? Anybody care to know? Going once. Going twice. Third time's the charm. Okay. No loss, no harm. All right, everybody. Well, with that being said, once again, don't forget tonight, 8 p.m., tune in with Edward for Thine Will Be Done. All right? And tomorrow, 7 a.m., we got the prayer call with Miss Carol Lucille. Then, directly after the prayer call at 12 noon, we're going to have Actualize It with Your Highness. We're also going to have Soul Liberated with Mama Mahassan at 4 p.m. 6 p.m., we're going to have Grown Folk Talking with CEO Forrest Nance. And at 8 p.m., we may have just some open mic. I have not been told that there will be an actual podcast at that time, but I believe we'll have some open mic talk. So we'll have a free run tomorrow, as far as I know. And those are the lineups for tomorrow's shows, everybody. So with that being said, if all hearts and minds are clear, nobody has a comment, question, or statement, then I will turn it over to FloFokuz. You got the last word, bro. And whenever you're ready, take us out. Good night, everybody.
Delicano.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.